I'm Enrica Alberti, and I'm a member of Viso a Viso Social Enterprise and a former member of the Ostana Council. And together with Laura Cantarella and Silvia Rovere, we are going to explain the regeneration process and the smart strategy that we applied in Ostana. As you saw in the previous slide, we live in front of the Monviso Peak in the Italian Western Alps, and Ostana is a multi-centric settlement gathering at with 10 hamlets at an altitude of 900 to 2,000 meters on the sea level. In 100 years ago, there were 1,200 inhabitants in Ostana and living of subsistence, agriculture, pasture, and seasonal jobs, basically a rural economy. After the Second World War, Ostana and the Italian Alps in general underwent a dramatic depopulation process as a result of the industrial development of north of Italy. This process was so severe that in the middle of the 80s, there were only 5 inhabitants living in Ostana all year long, and they were mainly elderly people. Today, we celebrate 50, or in fact 53 inhabitants, and they are mainly family, children. We have 7 children under 12 years old, and we have 90 residents, and in summertime we reach the number of 400-500 people that are mainly tourists, second homeowners, visitors. So what happened in the last 35 years that reversed the process of the population? In the 80s, a group of people that were living in Turin and still were forming a core of community, of Ostana community there, took the decision to give a second life to the village as a form of respect of their ancestors. In 1985, after 5 years of the opposition, the group wins the municipal election, and Giacomo Lombardo becomes mayor of Ostana. Giacomo is a very motivated and enthusiastic man with strong leadership, good network building skills, and a forward-looking vision. The question for them was where do we start from? Almost nothing was left. Nothing of a village was left. They wanted to build, to recreate, reconstruct conditions to bring back people to live in the village, and not only to create a leisure place for tourists. So they focused and developed some peculiar strategies that at the time were absolutely unpopular, and that they revealed to be successful years later. At the beginning, they concentrated, they worked on valorization of alpine architecture, cultural heritage, and natural environment. Sorry. Due to 2 decades of abandon, the good news was that the traditional architectonic heritage was not lost. So the administration decided to give very strict rules for renovation. So dimension of the houses, material that could be used, facade, and so on. And they decided that no new building could be built. Here you see some example or renovated houses. That is a process that is still going on. And nowadays the discussion regards mainly the match of traditional buildings and sustainable issue, architectonical sustainable issue. An important point of the village renaissance has been the cultural heritage as a starting point of a new awareness. Ostana belongs to the Occitan language nation that stretches from Catalonia to southern France and to the western Italian Alps. It is the language of the troubadour that brings a rich literary, musical, and dancing heritage with it. Many events have been organized in the village in an effort of a cultural and cohesive growth of the community. The third starting point was the natural environment, together with an astonishing landscape, as you can see from these pictures. And the old tracks were retrieved thanks to voluntary engagement of a group of people. And nowadays we have walks, hiking paths, snowshoes, hiking, ski mountaineering, trekking tours, both in Ostana and in the massif of the Monviso Peak. So a complete offer is in sight. But let's go back to the journey of regeneration. So what happens next? After 10 years of a different mayor, in 2004, Giacomo Lombardo is again elected mayor, and the city council open to external, bringing new skills and alliance in the village. And this was a real revolution for that time. In the decades 2011-2021, many economic activity at the start, and also some educational cultural center were created. So it was indeed a very productive decade, and especially when compared to neighboring villages where the depopulation rate continued to increase and the economic activity often closed. In 2019, Silvia Rovere was elected mayor, formalizing a governance transition that assured the future to the village. She's an enthusiastic person, a woman, non-native, so not native of Ostana. So it was a further innovation for the territory. So I resume here some strength points that characterize the Ostana good practice. So the motivated and enthusiastic engagement of people, a strong vision for the future, a cohesive community that transform a project into a collective project, a core of innovation in the community, a reinforcement of public-private relationship and collaboration, a rural-urban relationship, network building, that is very important, and also active fundraising. We have to consider that Ostana, being a very small village, receive by the central state money sufficient only for the salary of one employee. So the rest is collected by constant application for funding at local, national, and European level. Otherwise, we couldn't do all the things we do. And when we speak about the vision, we mean an holistic approach to the Ostana project. We imagine Ostana as a complex puzzle composed of different units interacting together and creating a sustainable community. These drawings include agriculture, pasture, tourism, that are the classical topic in mountain area, but we want also to develop other part of the community, in particular the cultural one, with artists, science, innovation, wellness. And I include here also the mobility, the sustainable mobility, because it's one topic that is very important to design the future, the future years. And also we include it in our smart rural strategy because we consider it very, very, very important. As you can imagine, the streets and connection of our village were designed for the ancient community. And we have now to respond to new needs of inhabitants instead. We have only one narrow street that connect the different hamlets. We have few public transport, and we have a crowded high season with high number of cars and also security concern. So we need to imagine innovative solution to meet needs of inhabitants, tourists, visitors, economic activities. We did few experiments, the first one in 2017 in collaboration with the Monviso Institute, that is a living laboratory for sustainability that is located in Ostana. And with the help of their students, we proposed a free shuttle for people arriving just few kilometers from the village. And we were also doing a work of sensibilization to this problem. We used the shuttle also for other events where there were a high number of people. And in 2020, due to a high number of people reaching the village, especially on summer Sundays, we did an official traffic regulation. So we designed our strategy, the smart rural strategy, on two topics. One of these is the sustainable mobility, and we are working on improve the use of electric mobility. We have 1.5 cars, electric cars in Ostana. We want to improve the carpooling or sharing system in the village, and also the number of recharging infrastructure for electric bikes and cars that we still have, but we want to improve and scatter in the village. And also we understand that the mobility of Ostana is strictly connected with the mobility in the valley and in the plain. So we want to create a new interchange areas for intermodal mobility and also to improve the shuttle services. All this, of course, has the aim to decrease the CO2 emission and the car overcrowding, but also to improve social cohesion. One of the projects we have is to share the public car that the municipality own, and with the help of a civil service person, we are, for example, using it for helping the elderly people to go to the market in the nearby village. So, of course, mobility is a very complex topic that touch different fields of our community. So, I would like to leave now the word to Laura Cantarella, that is going to speak about the second task that we have as a smart rural village. Let me see.
Just a second.
Yeah.
Maybe in the meantime, Enrica, you could answer that question. You said 1.5 car, or in relation to the electric car. I think there is a question on that.
Yes. Okay. One person has one electric car, and a person that stays in the village like half year, like 6 months per year, has an electric car. So that's why we count 1.5.
Okay. That gives an explanation to
yes, yes, it was a bit of a provocation.
I thought so. Laura.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Laura. I'm like Enrica, I'm part of Viso Social Enterprise. And I'm in charge, let's say, of the education and cultural aspects of our enterprise. This is our logo, which is made of a mountain with the two profiles looking at each other. And with these two elements, we have the geographical aspect, which is very important. As Enrica mentioned before, we are in a MAB UNESCO reserve. So the geographical aspect of the context, the physical, context is very important. But also there are like two faces looking at each other, like remembering that in this kind of regeneration processes, people are always at the center of the action. This is Sant'Antonio, which is the hamlet where our enterprise is. The big building you see on the right is the Lupurtum Cultural Center, is one of the symbols of the regeneration process of Ostana. It's a very well-known architecture, a finalist at Constructive Alps, shown in Venice Biennale architecture, of course, and is like a 1,000 square meters in 3 floors. It's like a multicultural hub for community and for visitors, in front of Monviso, as Enrica mentioned before. Is the main cultural infrastructure of the village. The main topic, of course, of the strategy is mobility, as Enrica mentioned before, but mobility means also moving people, let's say, and moving people is about also giving people the basic infrastructure. Ostana is a successful model because in the years, all the basic infrastructure are being set up for inhabitants, and this is the cultural one. This is the building again. This is the building inside, where we have a place for meeting and talking and eating together. We have different rooms, which host also a library, co-working spaces, and an auditorium for musical and performance activities. This is the hamlet in summer, where people can gather around the center and have a talk, have a drink, and participate in the activity we propose to them. We have, as I told before, a library. The first action where we set up our enterprise was to open a library for very young people. This was something like a provocation, because usually in the Western Alps, people are old, but in Ostana, the average age is lower. It's like around 50. There are a lot of kids in the village and in the village around. So we thought that beginning doing something for them, with them, was something good. This is the opening of the library with a very well-known artist, illustrator, Italian artist, Cinzeghigliano. This is another event of the library. The space here is the auditorium, where we now hosting an exhibition of a very good Italian artist. And there is a peculiar action that I would like to talk to you about a bit, which is Ostanares, the Ostana Residency Program, which is one of the action we propose in our strategy, and which is a project of Viso and the Ostana municipality together. This is a picture that represents us in the last period, where we in November, in the residency program, we had in Ostana Marlene Kunz, which is a very well-known rock band from the 90s, but still very active, a festival of social enterprises from Italy. So in this picture, you see like rock singers, rock musicians, social entrepreneurs from Italy, and our 10 Viso colleagues. So this is the kind of mood we are trying to create, trying to mix different people, different backgrounds, and offering Ostara as a place to live and somehow to create contemporary culture. The idea, the basic idea at the core of everything is that we have to to think of a small village that can produce very top-level quality products and processes. Ostana has always been a living laboratory, and still is. And what we did, I mentioned before about the library, we have a very special focus of for young people. We supported a concert of Claudio Fenoglio, which is one of the most famous, better Italian European choir director, and this new project called Polimnia. We welcomed an association from Milan working with Teatro alla Scala this summer with a very high quality offer to kids about opera singing. We did a co-design process workshop of illustration. We produced with Epi, which is a very well-known illustrator, graphic novel author in Italy and in Europe, this pattern that created something like a collection, Viso Viso Ostana collection, mixing the work of Elisabetta Percivati, this author, and the work of the kids in Ostana. Another thing which I want to mention is the European cross-border direction. In our residency program, we welcomed this summer 6 students coming from 5 European universities, thanks to the project Unita, which is one of the network of a European university directly funded by the European Commission. And they are coming back next year, of course, with other students. And we are coordinating this project, not only in Ostana, but also in other cultural centers in this part of the Alps. So this is one of our main projects. This is the Unita website. This is the intercomprehension workshop we did in Ostana, allowing people to, giving instruments to the different students to talk in their native languages without switching to English, because of course they all come from the Romance countries' languages. Involving the students in this month of residency in Ostana, in cataloging the library, in building a project of gamification, so collecting information from different experts. In this project, we worked especially with Stefano Fenoglio and the Alpstream, which is a very important center of research about alpine rivers. We involved the students also in the construction of the catalog of the Human Library of the Alps, which is a library made up of living books, let's say people. And another element which is very important for us is the cross-fertilization. We try to mix projects which are important for us, trying to give visibility also to local artists. This is what happened with the residence of Marlene Kunz, as I mentioned before. We had this space where this very well-known rock band could work also with, for instance, Moira Franco, which is a very good artist living in the valley. So we try to mix always different kind of activities and assets from the valley. We welcomed in the residency program also Simone Cametti, which is an Italian artist working on woods, and Ferdinando Cotugno, which is a journalist and Italian writer, whose work is dealing with woods under the journalistic point of view. So always trying to mix, and also, of course, local people in participate in the discussion. Then what we try to do is to build a system of alliances and relationship with institutions outside the valley. This has been one of the elements that made Ostana an example of alpine regeneration. So we somehow go on with this attitude. We participate in the Biennale Democracy event in Torino, which is a very well-known event in Italy, institutions from outside Torino, from outside the metropolis, let's say, were not allowed to participate. So we tried a bit to hacker the machine and try to build an alliance in order to propose a discussion about the role of cultural center in the Alpine areas. And our residency program is part of the dossier of the candidacy of Saluzzo e Terre del Monviso to Italian Capital of Culture 2024. So just another image of Sant'Antonio Hamlet, which is where we work and where Enrica lives. Is an amazing place. So the best part of Ostana, of course, is still the beauty of the environment, and we hope to have all you here in the regional event meeting. Thank you.